unique topic. It is about developing the leader that is within you.
Fix the mic, fix the mic. Fix the mic.
Can you hear me now? Hello. It's tough to operate a mic. So today we'll talk about how developing the leader within you. You know, a lot of people, almost everything we do, we need to be leaders in what we do. But very few people actually are able to realize that full potential. So we have a we're honored to have Sadhguru and B.V. Jagdish with us today to help present some of the perspectives and help us grow as a leader. As I was saying, there's multiple organizations that have come together to make this even happen today, especially TIE and SIPA. How many people here are familiar with TIE? The Indus Entrepreneurs? Okay. And how many with SIPA, the Silicon Indian Professional Organization? So I would want to invite Ramesh on behalf of TIE and Deepak on behalf of SIPA just to come in for tell you a little background on the organizations and what the work they're doing. So,
good afternoon, friends. My name is Ramesh Krishnan. I'm the Director of Business Development Strategic Relationships at TIE. I'm very delighted to be here with Sadhguruji. It's indeed an honor to partner with organizations like SIPA and Isha Foundation to be in your company and listen to your words of wisdom. I'm looking forward to that. A little bit about TIE. We are a 21-year-old organization. We were formed by entrepreneurs who had a couple of things in common and overcame those obstacles and created an organization to foster entrepreneurship. And that's what we do. And we have, over the past 21 years, expanded our network. We have over 14,000 members. We have about 3,000 charter members, many of whom are here. And we also have several sponsors who make it happen, make it possible for us to bring the kinds of programs that we bring. And of course, we have our wonderful volunteers. That's the fourth leg that actually makes everything work. And our biggest event, TICON, is just about 6 days away. And there's a lot of work being done. Many of us are pulling 20-hour days. And without the help of these volunteers, we would not be able to do that. And TICON, the very unique conference, Sadhguruji has been our keynote speaker in 2007. And we are a fairly august company because along with TED and World Economic Forum, we have been rated as the top 10 conferences by the World Magazine for entrepreneurs. So we're very delighted to get those types of encouragements and encomiums from the market. This year we have a stellar cast of speakers, and we have Jeff Weiner from LinkedIn, who is the CEO of LinkedIn speaking. We have Chris Anderson, who defined Longtail. We have the gentleman who invented the 5-hour energy drink, Dr. Manoj Bhargava. We have the youngest billionaire and entrepreneur out of Africa, Ashish Thakur, who's got a very unique story. Gone through 2 very challenging events in his life, thrown out of Uganda, then out of Rwanda, being a refugee, and then at the age of 15, had to drop out of school and with $500 in his pocket. Today he's in 22 countries, and 50% of the time he's actually helping other entrepreneurs go through those obstacles or go through them very easily. So it's paying it forward. So those are the types of people who are coming to TICON this year. I encourage you to take a look. There are a lot of flyers lying around. Perhaps you found some on your chairs. And thanks to our volunteers, there are several outside of work. I'll be here for the entire evening, and of course, I'd love to hear what Sadhguruji has for us today. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Deepak from SIPA. Thank you for coming.
My name is Deepak Devlarikar. I'm the president of SIPA. I'm very proud to be co-hosting this event with Sadhguruji. SIPA stands for Silicon Valley Indian Professional Association, and this was started in 1987. And this was started by 2 engineers from India with the purpose of growing the community. And since then we have grown, and it not only has grown, it has become very diverse as well. So less emphasis on the Indian part of SIPA, more emphasis on the professional part. So we do a lot of events, mostly it's monthly events, and it's around a technology topic. For example, we had one on big data, a lot of big interest in that. We also have a lot of soft skill related topics, leadership topics such as the one we are having today. Our next event is on May 30th. It's about personal branding. And in this day and age, as you know, whether you are an entrepreneur or an individual contributor, branding is very important. And it's going to be done by Karen Kang, and she's a very well-known branding expert. So I invite you all. You can see more information on our website, sipa.org. Come to our event, come to any of our events, and I'm sure you will come to other events as well. And hope to see more hands show up when you hear about SIPA. Thanks.
So now I would like to introduce our speakers. It's not easy to introduce Sadhguru. He doesn't fit into traditional definitions or descriptions. You saw a little video, so hopefully you got a little background. He's a yogi, he's a mystic, he's a visionary humanitarian. He's a co-founder of Isha Foundation, which, as you saw, it's a completely volunteer-driven organization. It has over 2 million volunteers and has touched the lives of over 7 million people through various things, through yoga and meditation programs, through education initiatives, through environmental stewardship, through healthcare, through various, and even more, which is too long to list. Now that kind of organization can only be built if you can really bring out the leaders within people. A lot of people have taken on initiatives and just achieved things beyond they thought possible. And this platform that Sadhguru has created allows them to do that. He's regularly speaking at business forums to help take some of these tools and make them available for our everyday use. Whether it's at World Economic Forum at Davos, whether it's universities like MIT or the UN. He recently led a business leadership program, which was attended by dozens of CEOs from around the world. And again, it's a privilege to have him here to speak about that and help us, bring some of those tools for us. We're also honored here to have B.B. Jagadish. I think many of you know him well. He's been a regular time member and has been associated with SIPA as well for a long time. He was the co-founder and CTO of Exodus Communications, which really pioneered the internet data center, and at its peak was created about $30 billion in market value. He was then the CEO of NetScaler, which was acquired by Citrix for $300 million. He's been on the boards and CEOs of many other companies after that, including 3Leaf. He's currently the managing partner at God Ventures, and is also involved with over half a dozen nonprofits in healthcare, education, and is really symbolizes the Silicon Valley spirit in bringing entrepreneurship and social good together. So again, we're it's a pleasure to have him here, and at this point, I would love to invite both of them to speak to us about the topic.
Good afternoon, all of you. How are you? It's been an honor, it's a pleasure to be with Sadhguru. This is actually my very, very first interaction with him. And I've spent the last 45 minutes and learned a lot during the conversation. It's kind of fascinating. And of course, I read a lot about Sadhguru during the last several days, ever since this organization asked me to talk to him and have this discussion. So it turns out, interestingly, he was born the same year that I was born. And
In 1857.
and we both hail from the same state, not too far, as a matter of fact. And the places where he did the hand gliding was just about 15 kilometers from my village where I was born and brought up. So I was born and brought up in this village called Bagalur, and his grandfather was at this place called Chikbalapur, which is about 15 kilometers from our place. And we used to visit that place quite often. Yeah, those of you who know Bangalore, there is this beautiful place called Nandi Hills. And as we were talking, he said he was like climbing that place almost on a daily basis or multiple times per day. I mean, you know, as you were watching the video, right, you could very well imagine and see how fit he is for all these extraordinary things that someone like him, you know, you don't expect, right, somebody like him to actually do. So what he is demonstrating is that you don't have to be very stringent and restricted to things just because you're in a position like that. I think that's essentially...
Spirituality is not a disability.
Yeah, spirituality. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, as part of this India Community Center, we organize this thing called the Sevathon on an annualized basis. And for the first time, we were introduced to this Isha Foundation. Those of you who are here, volunteers of Isha Foundation, can you please raise your hands? Yeah, so there are only a few of them. Our experience of actually dealing with these Isha Foundation volunteers is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, the dedication, the commitment, what they have in whatever job that they are doing is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, I was literally blown away, and as we started to study more and more of this institution and the volunteers, essentially what Sadhguru has done is literally, you know, from the ordinary, turning it into extraordinary. That's the beauty of what he has created. And what the world needs today, right, is more such volunteers, more such people who could make a difference in lots of other people's lives. So my first question, obviously, as we try to uncover a lot of these issues related to leadership and how, you know, every one of us who have that inner feeling of discovering ourselves, how the tools that Isha and Sadhguru have come up with, you know, as we learn all these things. My first question to Sadhguru is to really get an understanding and the insight from you of how have you built an organization or an institution such with 2.5, 3 million volunteers. It's absolutely extraordinary. So I'm actually very curious to really understand your thoughts and your methodologies.
It's uncanny that you use this term, ordinary to extraordinary. Because a few years ago, our brochure for the basic program used to carry this. Isha Yoga, ordinary to extraordinary. So this was a 2-week-long program. People come first day, second day. Say, Sadhguru, nothing special is happening to me. Did I say anything special will happen to you? No, you said we will move from ordinary to extraordinary. Yes, that's what we are doing right now. That is, I'm intending to make you extraordinary. More ordinary than others. Wanting to be special is a disease. Really, it's an ailment. You wanting to be special means you want to be a little better than somebody who's sitting next to you. This is a serious ailment. It's taking a huge toll on individuals and the world. learning to be extraordinary, more ordinary than others, simply yourself. Suddenly, you will find these are truly extraordinary people. I was, we were doing a 2-day event for one of the American multinational company. The top 25 exhibitors were with us, and I had 9 volunteers running about doing things, as you were saying about them. My greatest fortune in life is that I have truly wonderful people around me all the time. So they looked at this, these are people who are always looking for attrition. So they looked at these 9 people day and night doing all the things that need to be done without anybody telling them anything. They said, Sadhguru, where do you get these people? I said, you don't get them, you got to make them. How do you make them? I said, you have to make them fall in love with you. Oh, how do we do that? First you have to fall in love with them. Oh, they don't pay us for that. Now, you need to understand this. Any human being is willing to do his best, always wanting to do his best, where it means something to him. What he loves, whatever you love, whoever you love, if you don't love anything else except 1 or 2 people, whatever or whoever you love, you want to do the best, isn't it? Can somebody stop you from doing the best? Whatever obstacle, you still want to do the best, isn't it? So why have we not generated people like this in this world, that people are in love with something? Simply because we are always thinking of this whole idea of goal-oriented society, you know. We want the fruit, we are not concerned about the root. Then if you want flowers in your garden, you don't have to think about flowers. You have to think of soil, you have to think of manure, you have to think of water, you have to think of sunlight. Filth to flower, that's how it is happening. If you know how to handle filth well, fragrance will happen in your life. But unfortunately, people want flowers, only flowers. Now you will end up buying Chinese-made plastic flowers. Okay. Yes, you have a flower, but it doesn't transform your life in any way. It doesn't make any difference, either to you or to somebody. Maybe you can sell that to somebody who has no idea what it means to be among flowers. To such a person you can sell, you can make money, you can IPO, you can be bought over, you can crash, all those things can happen. But life is not happening. If life has to happen, if real business has to happen, it must be complementing everybody's life, only then that business will happen. When I first, the first time when I went to the World Economic Forum, I think it's 2006, the business leaders were almost resentful. What is a mystic doing here? Then I sat in a close, like a dinner table, when the 6 people are there. This one person is literally getting at me. I shouldn't have mentioned the year because you'll start guessing who it is. So he heads one of the largest hardware companies, computer hardware companies. And he said, why are you here? Then I said, see, what's your business? He said, I manufacture computers. That company got bought over by the Chinese in the last few years. I said, see, whether you make a computer, or you make a spacecraft, or you make a safety pin, essentially, this business is about human well-being. You have forgotten. Essentially, whether you make a safety pin, or a spacecraft, or a car, or a computer, it's about human well-being, isn't it? And that's my business too. Do you have some issue? I don't make computers, nor do I make safety pins, but I'm directly addressing human well-being. You're trying to complement it in so many ways. And if you forget that your safety pin is about human well-being, or your computer is about human well-being, or your car is about human well-being, then you will start generating monsters who work against human well-being, which we have done it again and again, isn't it? The largest industry on the planet is arms and armaments. The second one is pharmaceuticals. The third is alcohol. One is straight away death. Another gets you sick, another tries to get you back. This shows where the human beings are. This shows the consciousness of the planet. So this is very important. You being in a… I don't know why you're not on a tech peak, you're in a tech valley.
Bubble. It's a bubble.
It's not a Silicon Peak, it's a Silicon Valley.
Has a lot of peaks.
That's a very humble admission that it's a valley. See, for the first time in the history of humanity, this is very important, we as a generation of people. Even 25 years ago, this was not possible. For the first time in the history of humanity, we have the necessary resource, capability and technology to address every human issue on the planet. Everything. Nourishment, health, education, you name it. Now, the only question is, are we going to generate human beings who will use our competence for well-being, or will they use it against ourselves? This is the biggest question. All these days it was a question of, can we do it or not? Now the question is, will we do it or not? We can do it, there's no question anymore about can. The question is only, will we do it or not as a generation of people? We as a generation, this is the biggest question in our minds, in our lives. Will we do it or not? The previous generation, can we do it or not? That was their problem. Now it's only will. So it's only willingness that's needed. So the volunteering that you're talking about, what a volunteer means is not that he's just working for some cause or the other. To be a volunteer means to become willing with the process of life. That you're not a resistance. That life doesn't have to beat you. You are willing, you're a big yes to life. So I don't want volunteers to be just committed to one little act that they're doing with Isha or something else. To be willing for everything that's around you. If you become 100% yes to life, you will be life and you will do the best things for life around you. This needs to happen. The higher you get in terms of your power and capability, the more responsible situations that you get to in your life, the more it becomes important. What kind of human being are you within yourself? Because once you get to a certain perch, you have a certain capability, you have a certain impact, that every thought, every emotion, every action that you generate is going to impact millions of people. When such a privilege is vested in you, who you are needs to be worked at, isn't it? If your work is important, who you are needs to be worked at. That is the most important thing.
Sir, I think this is a beautiful answer. So talking about, Silicon Valley, if you ask any of these people, pretty much, right, if you look at their daily routine or weekly routine, these are young people ambitious to grow in their careers, to become leaders within the organization, and at the same time, tremendous amount of pressure from the family side or children and so on and so forth, right? So constantly there's like hundreds of things that you're juggling with on a daily basis. How do you think these people can balance between all of this and especially this volunteerism that you talked about, right? Which is also equally important. Because if you talk to many of these people to volunteer, they'll say, yeah, I'll do it after I retire. That's like the normal answer. But by then it's too late. You don't have the energy, you don't have the desire. So how do you kind of balance that?
I'll do good things when I'm not good for anything else. Sorry.
How do you think they should balance it out?
See, I feel This is a kind of thing that is spreading all over the place. They're asking business leaders to volunteer in this. They want to be socially responsible, this, that. And I don't believe in that. In my opinion, if you're good at something, you just take it to the peak. It will naturally benefit people. It is not necessary you have to go out and do something else. Not necessary. I would say, if you are good at developing something technologically, you just do it. Do just that and that and that. It's not necessary that you have to come and volunteer and do something in Isha Foundation. You come to Isha Foundation also to enhance your ability to do your tech thing. Because in what way you can… See, it takes a certain amount of time in one's life to get a grip over something, yes? To be able to do something well, it takes a certain amount of time. At that time you try to do 10 things that somebody else is doing because they think it's socially responsible and rubbish. You will lose your edge. If as long as you're operating out of a larger vision than simply a small personal ambition, if you have transformed your life from ambition to vision, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're good at something, you should be doing only that. If you do something else and something else because to find social acceptance or it's politically correct to do that, it's waste of time, energy, and a certain genius that every human being has will be wasted simply trying to be politically correct. But does it mean to say you shouldn't be concerned at all about anything? So people who are busy, who don't have the time to do simple things which make a difference, they fund it, they support it, they do it in so many different ways. They don't have to necessarily physically get there and do things. This whole, I don't know what you call it here in India, this corporate social responsibility, you have that too?
Yes. Everybody has.
Oh. If you just build your business itself in such a way that it benefits everybody, you don't have to… that means, see, somewhere in our consciousness, our understanding is business is a way of robbing from the world and then we will give back. No, I want you to structure your business in such a way that it's a tremendous contribution. And it is. Even if you don't intend it is, isn't it? Yes or no? Even if you don't intend it must be good to people, you want to rob them, still it is good to the people. But if you have that intention, you will enjoy doing what you're doing and you will structure it little more differently. There is no need to think only philanthropy is the only way to serve. I don't believe that. Our very life activity can be a tremendous opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. And making a difference is not always giving something to somebody. Empowering them, creating possibilities is a tremendous way of doing things, isn't it? So I feel this social responsibility and business being two separate things itself is a crime. They should not be. Why should anybody think of activity that is not socially responsible? You must understand the very business that I'm creating is socially responsible, isn't it?
So basically, what you're saying is…
I'm saying don't be a Robin Hood, don't rob somebody and then try to give it to somebody.
When you prioritize, right, so do whatever you're meant to do that properly and well, and then if you have the time, if you have the willingness, if you have the interest, right, then you can go and do the rest of the things.
I wouldn't say what you're meant to do, because this is a very dangerous thing. People who think that they have God-given purposes are very dangerous people. Not about what you're meant to do, what you're good at. What you're good at, you must do that. But if you're doing something with a larger vision than just with a personal ambition, naturally you will make sure the benefits of that spread.
So one of the other things that's been kind of bothering, I've been in the Valley for the last 32 years, and
That's a wrong expression. I've been eating the pigs.
One of the things that has not happened, or happening at a very slow pace, right, is the women leadership. And that's kind of a missing component. And this is something now, there is a big talk going on, especially with the Facebook CEO writing a book called The Lean In. And what are your thoughts around that? Is this something that, socially this is a challenging thing, or people are blocking it? What are your thoughts, and how should people overcome?
Those who think women are not leaders are not married.
Didn't use the term dictator.
So, I feel leadership should be free of gender. You don't look at a leader for being a man or a woman. You look at them for what qualities they exude. Why should you bother about what is within their clothes? Why are you concerned about that? That concern is only in one area of life. You should not have that concern with what is behind their clothes. Why is somebody a man or a woman when you see them as a leader? That should stop. That should completely stop. In places of work, that should be absent. That you just look at a human being for who they are. Why should you look at them always as a man or a woman? This itself is a certain prejudice. Oh, this is a woman leader, you have to support her. Why? How can she be a leader? And anyway, it is just that the very fact that all of us exist, we came out of a woman. So naturally, biologically, she has a little larger responsibility than a man, okay? If you deliver a child, it's a 20-year project, okay? That is if they do well. If they don't do well, it's a lifelong project. So because of this in-between project that arises suddenly, generally a woman stays back, maybe in the business world a little bit, unless she is chosen to be otherwise. I'm saying naturally, I'm not saying this is how it should be. Naturally it is so. The fact that we all exist means some woman dedicated 15, 20 years of their life to make us who we are, isn't it? Why are you underestimating that? Why are you downgrading that activity? Why are you not giving the credit for somebody who produced the leader? Isn't it? If you are valuing a leader, why are you not thinking about the person who produced the leader? Is there no value for that? Is there no quality involved in that? I must tell you this. People always ask me, who is your role model? I don't roll with any models. I say, I have no role model. I have no such thing. But who made you? Who made maximum impact on you? Not really, I never looked at it that way, but if I have to really look back and see who made the maximum impact, and it's, continues to be a series of women. Starting from my great-grandmother, who lived to be 113, she lived very close to your village. She lived to be 113 years of age. And, well, she never went and led any business or anything, but the big businessman that my great-grandfather was, she had him around her little finger. So, the leader's leader.
Correct.
The leader's leader.
In the house.
Maybe she chose to remain in the house, but do not underestimate the impact of that leadership. Any number of times this man in his adventure could have gone crazy and gotten lost. Those times, the person who held them back and encouraged them at the right moment, having a sane woman behind you. It's very important, I'm saying a sane one. She may be crazy about you, but she must be sane. This is the expectation of a man. You want her to be crazy about you, but you want her sane. But a lot of women fulfill that. And my own mother, she always lived as a housewife. You know, her life was simply dedicated to the 4 children that she had. And when I really look back and see, in one way, my life and the basic qualities of my life have been shaped by her. That is, never once did she ever utter, "What about me?" in her life, okay? It's simply there, it's her life is for us. We took it like it's 100% guaranteed and granted that her life is for us. And just that quality, that somebody never said, "What about me?" and she always remained joyful and peaceful and singing and, doing just what is needed. I think that is one of the biggest leadership qualities that I have exhibited and been appreciated by people, that I never thought about what about me. And it's essentially an inheritance from her if you really look back, because she created that atmosphere. She never spoke about leadership, about selflessness and this and that, no lectures anywhere, but that's how she lived. And how can you not imbibe it in some way? You cannot help it.
So, by the way, if any of you have any questions, please raise your hands. There are volunteers who have microphones, and feel free to ask any questions.
No, right now what I said, maybe misunderstood and I may be in trouble with women in America. Let me clear
That's
this.
right.
This does not mean a woman should remain within the house. I am just saying, because of a certain biological responsibility that she normally has, she can choose not to have it, but that she normally has, it just sets her back by 15, 20 years. So for her to start a race 20 years behind somebody is a little… She may not reach the same place the man reaches simply because of this, because you jumped the gun and started off the moment you had the opportunity. She is starting 20 years later. So that needs to be appreciated for sure.
But we do have leaders now, like if you look at the CEO of Yahoo, she delivered the baby and she was back at work in less than 2 weeks. So they're setting examples that, this is actually doable. It's not a, because of these biological issues, you don't need to.
It is doable, but at a cost that you may realize later. It is at a cost. Cost not for you, you may be capable of that, but the child may not be capable of that. Because, I must tell you this, I don't know, I'm just making it very personal, if it's okay with you. When we were children, my mother did everything in the house, cooking, cleaning, drapes, everything. She was always stitching up something. If we traveled somewhere, and if there's an empty pillowcase in a hotel room or somewhere, she would say, "How can children sleep on an empty pillowcase?" And she would just pull out her needle and stitch one tiny little green parrot or one 4-petaled flower. Even now, it's so deeply in my mind. Looking at the tiny little parrot like this, I would have fallen asleep many times. The tiny little parrot is not just a parrot. That expression makes you who you are. Today, those little things that I don't do any great things to these people. Those little things that I do, they value it so much. This is just a multiplication of those little parrots that I saw on the pillowcase. Just for one night we were sleeping somewhere, but she would say, "How can children sleep on an empty pillowcase?" And she would stitch up one tiny little parrot. And do not underestimate these things. My father was a wonderful man. He was the one who brought all the resources to the home. But when I look back and see, I can imagine my home without my father very easily. But I cannot imagine my life without my mother. So the values that we are setting the value of success need not always be measured in terms of economics. It has to be measured in terms of life.
Yes? Naren Bakshi? What you do is have it one on that side, one on this side, so that people can line up to ask questions.
Sadhguru, I've heard you before at India Community Center, at TAI, and you're inspiring a lot of people. And it is really true what you said from technology point of view. Human race absolutely can solve problems in water, energy, education, everything is possible. What is stopping in more than one country, not just in India, but even in America, is the issue of governance, like good governance. So is there anything that you think that will happen, that we can make it happen, that will improve how we govern ourselves around the world so that we don't have terrorism, we don't have all these issues that are, even in America, people feel that all this bad things happen was partly because of thinking about themselves, not this society.
Almost and the entire world today is under a democratic rule. That means you can decide the government.